I'm Reed Snyder.
And I'm Galen Moore.
And this is the BostInno Beat. Chase and Greg are busy in a whale watch right now, so we're stepping in today. Before we get started, join us tonight as you're watching this. It's 50 on Fire season. And we're going to Cary Nation with our first Meet the Judges meetup to kick it off for the year's Best Award Show.
We're going to have a few drinks, we're going to meet a few people, and we're just going to hang out and have a good time.
Link to Tickies in the body of the email, and let's get to it.
Well, obviously we're having some problem, and sometimes happens with live television.
Let's talk about RoboCop.
Oh, hell no.
We'll do it live.
Big news in tech this week in auto tech. Volkswagen CEO Martin Winterkorn is stepping down over a huge scandal. What's grown to be a huge scandal. It started out as a little bit of a problem with emissions in Volkswagen's diesel vehicles. Now, you know these vehicles, they're very fuel efficient. People buy them because they care about the environment. Well, as it turns out, they're emitting a lot more pollutants than anybody thought they were. And the whole crux of it comes down to one little chip inside the car, a bit of software that regulates the emissions only when you're in for your inspection sticker. So you take the car in for an emissions test, emissions drop down, you drive it back out on the road, and it's out polluting again. Gigantic scandal for Volkswagen, multi-billion-dollar recall, and a CEO who's out on the curb.
And on the big picture here, everyone is getting into cars. So once you look past mobile phones, cars are kind of the next frontier where software is going to eat everything. There's a ton of security coming out there and concerns. Apple, Google, you name it, everyone is getting in the car game. And as a lot more competition comes from big players, not a great start for Volkswagen.
Probably not a great look for them coming into the smart car era.
Maybe they had a bug.
Ooh. So big moves this week from a couple of companies in what is becoming a red-hot space in Boston tech. 3D printing. We have Formlabs here, which is becoming an anchor of 3D printing worldwide, as MakerBot and its parent company are having a little bit of trouble. There's a real opening from Formlabs to come in. They announced their second 3D printer. Now, it only costs $3,500, sits on your desktop, and prints gigantic things in high definition. It's awesome. In addition to that, Northbridge Venture Partners, right? You're familiar with them? They are breaking up, or at least not raising a new fund for now. Their partner, Rick Fulop, is off on a new venture called Desktop Metal. That's a metal 3D printer that he's working on with some of his former co-founders at A123 Systems. Pretty awesome stuff from a couple of Boston stalwarts.
Yeah, it's exciting to see some growth there. Everyone kind of knows how there's a lot of scandal, a lot of drama around MakerBot. They had to close down a lot of shops. There was trouble with the leadership. They closed down the Newbury Street location as an example locally. And it's nice to see Formlabs in particular, who's kind of the Massachusetts and Boston darling in the space, continue to grow. At the price point, you could be a small shop, you could be an individual person and still afford it. So I like what they're doing.
This isn't at the point where you're going to stop shopping on Amazon in favor of printing things in your home. But who knows? Does it get there? Does it get to the point where companies don't need to have inventory anymore, where they can print things rather than store them? I think it's an exciting space, and it's one of these things where what's happening now is going to dictate huge changes in how we buy, how we own, what we do with our lives. 5-10 years from now, retail, manufacturing are going to look completely different.
Yeah, we'll see, and they're making the right steps, and at that price point, I think it's cheap enough that people can try it out and see what works.
Speaking of Northbridge, former Northbridge partner Michael Skoke left the firm a little while ago, didn't know what he was going to do at the time, found out a few weeks ago it's going to be a new venture firm that he's founding with C.A. Webb, who's the former executive director of the New England Venture Capital Association. Learned a little bit more about that today. The name of the new venture firm is...
VCs Assemble!
Assemble.
Yeah, groundbreaking stuff. A lot of A's. Accomplice, Assemble.
Assemble. I'm seeing a pattern here in VC naming. Well, you know, it used to be you'd name your VC firm after like something nautical. But I'm looking forward to seeing what other cryptic venture capital names we can come up with here in this city.
Heady stuff. In the community this week, feel good story. The Greenlight Fund is having their annual gala tonight as you're watching this. And this year's recipient of the Social Impact Award is Accomplice's Jeff Fagin. So everyone knows Jeff from a lot of work at Accomplice, some of the big investments he's made, starting up that fund, separating from Atlas. And now this is recognized for his work as a social impact performer, and particularly his founding and as the president of TUG, which obviously does a ton of great work bringing together the innovation ecosystem to create a lot of good in the community.
TUG's awesome. I mean, you look at Boston now, you could easily see us going the way of Silicon Valley, becoming this place where tech and the city are kind of these two separate entities. It's very important to have organizations like TUG around to prevent that from happening. So this award couldn't go to a better person. I'm really glad to see that happen.
So congrats to Jeff, and thanks to the Greenlight Fund for all the work that they're doing too in at-risk communities and for recognizing Jeff's work.
And they say we don't do positive stories.
God, I feel good about that one.
Oh, I feel good. I knew that I would not.
One more bit of news, huge news, out of the Apple Music Festival happening in London this week. One Direction is on stage, and 21-year-old frontman Harry Styles, what does he do? He takes a minute to check on his sister, who's out on a date. How do you like that, folks? Just heartwarming.
I thought with Gomer gone we weren't going to do this section, and I thought One Direction broke up.
1D forever, man.
See you tonight at Carry Nation. Thanks for coming out.
And how does Gomer usually introduce this?
He points at the camera and goes,
One more bit of news, that's right. What's the like, is there a One Direction saying, like something that the fans
Does it go by
say?
1D?
One Direction was on stage when, what the is this guy's last name?